Happy birthday to everybody, guys. It is I, Vigorously Gaming, coming back at you with another video on my channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 hardest bosses in Cuphead. In my own opinion, of course. So now, without further ado, let's dive right into this hot mess that I call a video. Butt. Check. Tits. Check. Overly big animated eyes. Check. The most bullshit I've seen in a video game. Not really, not even close. This woman is exactly how women are. Difficult. She has a random series of attacks that vary, which is unique, but fuck you. From having to dodge fish in an extremely narrow field to dodging shells in an intensely limited space, you're sort of on the edge of your seat during her first phase until she whips out her wild card. RNG. She turns into Medusa and gains simpy snakes to support her mission to abolish you from life. This wouldn't be hard at all, except she can freeze you for about 1.5 seconds, leaving you completely helpless. In Cuphead. While you're stonified, snakes exhale electricity and all you can do is watch them hit you like Japan did when the bombs fell. Continuing on that note, she does this quite frequently, leaving you equally vulnerable every time she does this. Bare naked and out of control, which might trigger some euphoria in the BDSM types. Meaning that some luck is practically necessary if you are going to beat her. And wait a second, that's not all. She has a third phase that is easier but is still somewhat difficult. However, since your mind is still traumatized from a second phase, you are actually more prone to fuck up during this. You dodge crystals and weird heads as if in a trippy dream. Your heart is pacing like it would in anticipation of the beginning of a pacer test, awaiting her next freezing beam. No matter how much you practice, you're at the mercy of the Cuphead gods when it comes to this. And they are not lenient.
Here's a real high-class bout. You're up.
There are 2 things that I cannot stand in video games. Sans and RNG. Acronym for random number generator. The fundamentals of it mean that luck is a factor in the gameplay. And I don't mean luck as in the order of the mini bosses you would play. What I mean is something foolish like platform spawning. You can be distracted with the task of evading Illuminati shooting lasers at you for tax evasion, and before you know it, you fall down because you would think that a platform would be there to save you. But nope, it's about as trustable as a Mr. Boss for the win video. Although this boss is relatively difficult, the RNG makes it about twice as hard. Additionally, another detail to add is that she's only so low in this list because her climax doesn't last very long, and don't take that out of context. But if it was longer, I agree that we'd all probably go insane because 100% of your attention goes towards dodging the concept of fisting. You can resort to chaser, but in doing so, you just leave yourself more vulnerable for exposing yourself for a longer period of time to more inadvertent screw-ups. But either way, we can all agree that this attack is quite troublesome and gives a lot of people a bad time. Personally, I actually hate this boss the most, but this is the reason why I hate this boss the most. Yeah. I really fucking hate this boss.
A great slam and then some. Now go.
Now, you might be thinking, how this motherfucker is only number 3 on this list. My answer is despite its extremely sophisticated beginning, it's actually somewhat easy. What makes this one of the most difficult bosses in the game is the stupid beam taking up 40% of the screen, North Korea's go-to solution when losing an argument, what I presume are butt plugs for super mutants, the nuts and bolts, the magnet, and his robotic arms that illogically represent a G-string being undone. All of this combined is the average hell, yet a masochist's heaven. The next part isn't hard, just annoying. The robot gets angry and attempts to give you head. Your main objective here is to avoid the head like Activision did with the sexual allegations made against them. Once you do that, you are shamefully granted access to the third part of his fight. I like to call this God. What the fuck did I do wrong? I'm sorry for not going to church last Sunday. Please kill me. Turns out, the robot wasn't sentient because Detroit Become Human threatened a lawsuit. So they made an evil genius that was controlling the robot all along. He shoots pew-pews everywhere for 20 seconds until his gun has to cool down for 4. Truth be told, his quote-unquote arbitrary laser spamming actually has an easy pattern to follow, giving you plenty of space to dodge, but the catch is you have to dodge this for a good while. Luckily enough, he gives you breaks, which is awfully nice of him, until he regrets it after you pull a Hiroshima on his ass. Just repeat the process about 3 times until you eradicate his clothing, which indicates that you've won. It's not too hard if you can play your cards right, but I will admit, the first time I played this boss, I banged my controller's mom more than any other boss in the game. But besides that, let's move on to our next boss on the list.
A great slam and then some. It's on.
Ah yes, the glizzy-breathing, cum-sucking, bucket-filling slut dragon. Don't be fooled by his extremely easy first phase, in which you launch blueberries on his head and hope you're giving him enough brain damage to the point where he becomes mentally disabled, which is actually pretty easy. Yet, once again, there is RNG involved in this one. The clouds. For the most part, they are consistent, but sometimes they can just put a hole in your condom. The second phase has you rely on audio cues while flaming shits dive towards you. This is annoying considering the RNG of the clouds as well, but the best position is to be just above them as you hear them running out of his tongue like the Jews would have done if there was an emergency exit. I can say this, he would be one of the easiest bosses in the game if it wasn't for his last phase. In fact, the boss fight is all fun and rainbows until... His last phase offers him 3 heads that breathe fire. Fuck, one of the heads turns into a fucking flamethrower. You have to dodge all of this. But to make matters worse, if you shoot one of the flames by accident, it turns into 4 separate fucking flames going in 4 different fucking directions. It's not even like the flame disappears in half a second. It keeps going and can sneak up on you like my boyfriend did with his HIV. It's not fun. S-rank is impossible. Kill yourself. Alright, so now you might be asking, how is Satan the hardest boss? Maybe it's because you have to be extremely precise with dodging literally everything, unlike every other boss in the game, or at least in my opinion. The clap of your cheeks, blue bouncing soul balls, flames cornering you and making you jump for your dear life, a flame wheel, his naked mode that shoves you into a finite corner and if you move you die, and his stupid fucking spider mode. He then pulls out a skin like any average Twitter user and jumps into an abyss of aggression, not covered by Geico like the average Twitter user. Once you finish this phase, you see it's a background boss, which gives you the impression that it's an easy win, and you're probably right, but this is my video, so fuck you. You cannot stay in one spot for long. His eyes send out axes and his ears wax out bombs. Not to mention, you don't even have solid ground, just 5 floating platforms. You navigate yourself around the obstacles, then you notice the outer platforms just fell. Shit just got real. 2 of Satan's side chicks arrive from the depth of the corners and you automatically acknowledge 2 things. One being that they are definitely not your type, and two being that you have to dodge both of their attacks, along with leftover circus equipment and the equivalent of what would have happened to Batman if he took a wrong turn in his life. It all depends on your skill level and luck that determine if you can make it to the next part. It's complete, utter chaos, and you're clenching your ass cheeks so tight that you could hold a pencil in between them. A little while after the tension, the side chicks are dismissed because Satan begins to bawl like a fucking baby. Your ass at this point has now consumed the pencil, and you're a sweaty mess as you terminate his final hit points whilst dodging tears and rings. Especially the last bit is soul punching, since wherever you jump can ultimately lead to your death. A very swift one, in the matter of fact. I know it's a controversial opinion, or really an unpopular opinion. I just want to say I find all the bosses in this game relatively easy, and I kind of just went by, hey, which one was the hardest to actually one go? I found this one the hardest to one go. I beat every boss in one go like a couple of times besides this one. And so just by going by that, I just chose this to be the hardest boss. Once again, it's subjective, I know, but that's my opinion. Alright, let's fucking ad-lib this shit. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I wrote a script for it, voiced it over, edited it for like several hours. And was it worth it? Well, I'm gonna find out, right? I just want more feedback on this sort of content. Like, I just want at least, like, it doesn't have to be a lot of feedback. Like, 2 people at the very fucking least, honestly. If you would like to see more of this content. And if you don't, then I don't care. This content makes me feel like I've been productive, so I'm going to keep pushing out this content. But if there's any criticisms or anything like that, go ahead and put those in the comments down below. Alright, so that's what I just wanted to say. And